From all corners of the globe to your ears, it's the Midnight Movie Cowboys. Sometimes informative, sometimes controversial, but always unpredictable. It's the Midnight Movie Cowboys podcast with your hosts, Hunter, John, and Stu. And now, on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Midnight Movie Cowboys. Joining me is Mr. John Gray. Say hello, John.
Hello, everybody.
And returning to the show is special guest, Mr. Zolly Becker. Say hello, Zolly.
Hello, it's me, Zolly Becker.
He's restoring the Snyderverse.
Single-handed. Well, not single-handedly.
No. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. But so for this week, we are returning our X-Files series. We're dipping back into the well, going back to the 90s, the good old days when conspiracy theories were comfy and fun, when they were about like aliens and black-eyed children, and other stuff you'd hear about on Coast to Coast AM.
And Everclear was on the radio.
That's right. And Lit.
And Lit. And Filter.
Filter, yeah. Yeah, they were in one of the episodes we covered. The one where Giovanni Ribisi like electrocutes people.
Yeah. Hey Man, Nice Shot. I think they had to exploit that just like Demon Knight, right?
Yeah, and the dude from Filter's brother ended up being a regular on X-Files.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think they ever played God Lives Underwater on X-Files.
They never played Take My Picture. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That was some comfy 90s jams.
I know there was a lot of that stuff. I've been grooving to a lot of it on Spotify. So
I noticed
odd.
Stu's like really into the Bloodhound Gang lately.
Bloodhound Gang is I was on the Batman and Robin soundtrack, but they don't figure too much in the 1990s, in my 90s rotation.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
I'm sorry?
I don't know why that is.
Yeah. Well, they were huge in Europe, but the reason they don't tour anymore is because their bass player decided that when they were playing in Russia, it'd be a good idea to shove the Russian flag down his pants and pull it out from the back.
That's a move from Pussy Riot.
Yeah, it was before that even, I think.
Oh boy.
And they got chased out of the country, like had to flee. And I heard the drummer at the time, he was like this old English guy. He was like, yeah, and that they banned us in all the places where we were popular, so we don't tour no more. So I don't know. R.I.P. I guess. Yeah, but not every country is as soft on you destroying their flag as the United States is, I guess.
Right.
We're the softest.
Yes, our flag is very vulnerable.
Yes. In fact, I think when they manufacture the flags, they make sure it's like with flammable chemicals, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it gives the end user the desired result.
That would be like a way to curb flag burning, is to make the flags too flammable.
They go all at once like receipt paper.
We're going to stick it to you.
Makes it impossible to capture on camera.
Turns them into Spawn if they light the flag.
Yeah. That is kind of what happened to Richard Lynch. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. He never talked about it.
I
Somebody was burning a flag and gasoline or something.
I mean, he may not have been purely just burning it, but I think that there was it wasn't just LSD.
Yeah, hippie actor. It's expected.
I remember the episode of The Simpsons where they did the "I'm Just a Bill" parody, but the Bill's like, those flag burners have got too much freedom. I want to make it legal for policemen to beat them.
Is this from the early seasons before they were all douchebags?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, this was a while ago.
from the 90s,
Yeah.
the good years of The Simpsons. Everything was better.
Yeah, I think
No,
it was even.
still-
Oh, go ahead.
no. You, there's a delay. It's time travel.
Oh, I was gonna say. I forgot what I was gonna say. It's fine. No worries.
Still think of, now I'm thinking of Contact and Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
So the episode of X-Files we're doing is Pusher, season 3, episode 17, directed by Rob Bowman, and written by, once again, Vince Gilligan, who would go on to create Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and unfortunately Hancock, but they can't all be zingers. So yeah, and this is one that's kind of a fan favorite episode. It's got Robert Wisden, who Snyderverse fans may remember as Richard Nixon from Watchmen. He plays this this guy who can basically convince people to do things. Like he's a contract killer who can convince people to basically commit suicide or do things that aren't in their best interest. And he attracts the attention of the FBI because he brags about it. And of course, this attracts the attention of Mulder and Scully. Zolly, had you seen this one before?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Well, I saw it back in the day, and then I saw it on Netflix. Then I saw it in the physical season set once it. I mean, I saw it originally before they changed the special effects and the aspect ratio. I mean, we must remember the current X-Files we all watch is a subtly altered version of the original X-Files. Not in any meaningful way. But yeah, I said back in the day, I said the sequel episode.
Yeah.
Which isn't as good.
I'm glad you said that because X-Files had a habit of having kind of a banger one-off, like whether it was Squeeze with the Victor Toombs character or this one, and they would have a really awesome villain of the week, like a one-off episode, and then they would do a sequel to it. And I never thought the sequels, whenever they would do a sequel, was any good. Like I thought the sequel to Squeeze was weak. I thought the sequel to Pusher was weak. I can't really think of any good times where they've tried to, double dip on that.
Never worked. Because the only sequential X-Files is the mythologies, which simply erase each other. They go over each other and erase each other. The anthology, this Monster of the Week stuff, none of even like the funny stuff, you cannot have any chronological, sequential callbacks, call forwards. Because you'll run into problems like the X-Files has a habit of reusing the same supporting cast in bit parts, like people like Roger Cross and I forget the guy who plays Spender. I want to do that Wikipedia, but like you'll see these people pop up again, and you can't do story arcs that last more than one a year.
And I remember like Krychek was originally on the show as a different character.
Yes, as the victim of the Amish from Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Still, people wonder if that was really Krychek in disguise.
I think there's
investigating it his own way.
Yeah. Krychek, one of the most bizarre recurring characters, because there's a lot of making crap up as they go along in X-Files that doesn't really.
Well, I feel like Krychek was like an earlier Jeffrey Spender. And then Jeffrey Spender and Krychek existed simultaneously, but they both kind of had. Well, I mean, they killed off Krychek. Spender got turned into like a keloid mutant monster man, but he recovered.
Yeah, he
at
did.
some point in the mid 20 teens. He just got better
Yes.
because he was made into a super soldier.
I think
But
wasn't
that's
this the
neither
first
here nor
show?
there.
Wasn't this the first show that like listened to the fans on the internet bulletin boards and took
They listen-
suggestions?
I mean, they listen to David Grohl. I mean, David Grohl was in it. I still don't know where he's in it because I can only identify current David Grohl in crowd scenes, not
Before he got facial hair.
yes,
Yeah.
not the guy from the drummer from Nirvana. I just can't, just can't.
Yeah, he
rock
he
on.
looks different. In
Yeah.
Nirvana.
I remember watching some early Foo Fighters videos, and he's really smiling a lot. And he's got this sort of, he looks real young. And then when he grew facial hair, he kind of took on a different demeanor completely. I don't know. It just his personality.
At that point, he had realized his place in the industry and in the canon. But music isn't my specialty or anything. But I think that from '94 to '97, Dave Grohl changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a witness to history because he's one of the few people who knows exactly how dishonest El Duce is being in Kurt and Courtney. But he can never explain or quantify it to another person what the actual situation is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Dave is a, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of he's probably the most normie rock star.
Yes.
I think he's like the quintessential normie. What?
Non-controversial.
Yeah, well, yeah, like he'll always kind of toe the company line. He loves like punk rock and stuff like that, but he's never gonna ruffle anyone's feathers.
Except for the vaccine passport requirement for his concert.
Yeah, like he'll just kind of go along with whatever. He's not gonna make anybody at Rolling Stone mad. He's not gonna upset the current, whoever the current Lester Bangs is.
He's the neoliberal of rock, basically the ultimate neoliberal.
Yeah, like
he's not like Kid Rock at all.
Yeah, he's
not like Kid
very
Rock.
different.
But like he wrote an album. I remember when Bush was running against Kerry, and he was like all involved in the Kerry campaign, and he did this double album called In Your Honor, and the song's like In Your Honor I Will Die Tonight. And I found out that song was about John Kerry, and I just wanted to die from embarrassment. Like, imagine wanting to die.
Cringe.
Imagine saying unironically in a song that you would die for John Kerry.
That was the beginning of the personality cult.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
No one in particular. But it can go bad. It can go bad. But I mean, Roger Cross. I noticed. I always notice Roger Cross in the X-Files.
Yeah, he was in this one.
I don't know if he's the same soldier in each of them. But he's
let me see here.
Who's the FBI guy? He's either FBI guy or a soldier.
He's
I
in
refuse to look.
He's in 5 different episodes as 5 different characters. So, yes, you're absolutely right. He's not reprising any roles. He's just a guy they go to when they need a certain type. But that is something I've noticed throughout the show is sort of recurring bit players in different.
Well, I mean, you appreciate the X-Files again way better after you become an adult and watch 12/24, because then you see the Howard Gordon machine at work, and you see all the people, all the way of going about things, and you see towards the end of the original X-Files the change in thinking. Like the final episode, William Devane makes it very clear that in the era of Jack Bauer, David Duchovny is not a hero, and you need to get right with that American people.
Yeah.
And, that was that was some fourth wall television, because it ended with its little fourth wall happy X-Files theme, which I love. But of course, everything in that finale was walked back in the 2015 finale and 2017 finale.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
believe, I have faith that they'll make more. I mean, they have to make more
Yeah.
to justify the existence of the Fox network.
Yeah, Simpsons is gone, so they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
They gotta bring back the legacy shows.
Yeah. Hey, Chris Carter's waiting for that phone call. Hey, Better Call Saul's over. He could bring Vince back,
That's true.
I've never seen
Super
Better Call
miniseries.
Saul. I've seen the first season, but I refuse to be teased by Cinnabon endlessly.
Cinnabon aggressively advertised to you in that show.
I've never seen it. I've yet to see it. Is it worth it?
It's
Is
good.
it worth
I like
watching?
it. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Garrett likes it a lot. So.
Yeah, it gets better and better and better as it builds and builds and builds.
But it's become one of those shows like everybody watches it, so I don't feel like I need to watch it because I feel like I've watched it with everybody who talks about how great it is.
Yeah.
I rarely watch shows while they're on, because I fear broadcast television. I fear anything that everyone is in is inherently a brain drain and a philistine activity. Will make me lesser and lower.
No, it's I do have, whenever something's like, it's weird, it's different with streaming shows where they're all just kind of dumped. But when something's playing week after week, usually I just wait till it's all over, the dust is settled, and then I can just go and watch it, and I'm not getting caught up in the hype or anything like that.
Well, you don't want a lost finale to build up for, and then
It's funny.
with garbage.
I never got into Lost because the first season was on. I remember I was in college, and the first season was on, and everyone was super into Lost. Like, they were like, "Oh man, you got to watch Lost. Oh my gosh, it's like everything that's awesome." And I was going, "Okay, I'm going to get around to it." And I remember seeing the season 1 set, and I was like, "I'll wait and grab it used, I'll check it out at some point."
Right.
And I kind of, waited around. I was, distracted by other things. And then I remember when season 2 started going, people were going, "Well, I don't know." Like, people were,
they're making shit up.
Yeah, I remember they were kind of going, "I don't think they know what's going on. I think they're making it up as they go along." And during that Lost season 1, that was the moment where J.J. Abrams was like the golden boy, where he was doing Star Trek, he was doing he had Alias, he had Mission Impossible 3, kind of in that few years there. And he was kind of the golden boy. What?
He did very well in a short time.
Yeah, he did. And but I just remember when Lost came about, I think around season 2, my friends started kind of jumping ship on it. And then, like, after a few years, it was just the people who were kind of, they were like, "I'm committed, I'm sticking in this for the long haul," who were watching it. And he had another show too, and I remember when it came out, it was called like Spore, or oh gosh, what was it called? It was it was some, like, I'll look this up, but I just remember he had this show that came out after a few years of Lost. And I remember I had friends going, "I'm not getting invested in this because I know it's not going to be any good, because JJ doesn't have a long game. Like, he's good at." Oh, and Cloverfield was another one too that, had a big hype trailer and stuff like that.
The J.J. Abrams Golden Goose was slaughtered by 2015 completely. And now we live in a post Bad Robot world.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The show I was thinking of was Fringe.
I watched a few seasons of that. It was an X-Files knockoff, basically.
Yeah,
It was an attempt
I never saw
to
Fringe.
keep the. Yeah, I got tired of it after a couple of years. It was
No,
okay.
I successfully never watched any J.J. Abrams television until Westworld.
is he behind
So,
Is he behind Westworld? JJ?
I think so. Yes.
He's teamed with Chris Nolan's brother, I think, is actually like
The weaker of the two.
Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Nolan, I think, is doing. I think Person of Interest involved J.J. Abrams as well.
Well,
Yes, it did.
And that was Jonathan Nolan.
Ultimately, it's all these shows are just a thing that circles the drain going nowhere. I mean, I never watched Lost, but when I saw the promos in like 2005, I assumed the only reason why you're trapped on an island epiphanic and you're like you have to have you can't like leave ever is because you're dead in purgatory or something like that. So
yeah,
even if that wasn't their intended ending, like their intended, Bible 5-year plan, this is very end. The mechanics of storytelling. What's the mystery of why you're on the island? I've never watched it. I don't know who the people are. I don't know who the Harry Knowles looking guy is. I don't know what Terry O'Quinn's function is. I have no idea. I've seen some of the McFarlane toys as they've drifted through history, but it's something that I was blessed to be spared from completely. I spared myself from, but not Star Trek and Star Wars. So it's not like I'm not
lucky. So John, had you seen what's your history with this episode? Have you seen it before? Is it one you consider one of the better ones?
I think I saw this one back during broadcast, like back in the 90s on Fox, because I was there was a point around third or fourth season where I got hooked into the X-Files. I was watching it every Sunday. And it's funny you mentioned the sequel episode. I don't think I've seen it, or I watched it and totally forgot about it, because those last couple of seasons before Robert Patrick joined, they're almost like a blur. There's not a lot of episodes I remember deeply from those seasons, because they were kind of coasting on their big success, their most popular show on Fox, probably on TV at the time. And I mean, this is like the last water cooler show from broadcast TV that I remember before Lost.
There's no comparison.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts how popular it was and what a big part of the 90s, pop phenomena it was at the time. But I remember liking this episode because they did the whole mind control thing and tied it in with him putting Hitman ads in Ninja magazines.
Yeah,
which were kind of a phenomenon that was gone by the 90s, or they like, like American Ronin magazine. It was like samurai mix.
It's Ronin.
Yes.
His pronunciation is very otaku perfect.
Yeah, just the use of the word "us" saying to push, but if you go to Okinawa and you go to those karate training camps in Okinawa, if you say "us," they don't think of it as push. It's like good morning. Huh. So it's funny how that translation works. But apparently in Japan it does mean push or pusher, but it's not used in the context that the episode uses it in.
Well, I mean, the way I'd explain all that away is the X-Files' own, explanations about things within its own mythology or
yeah, it makes its own rules.
Having real world, mistakes about, Japanese language or anything else is really fair game. I mean, like, how do you that's the thing. Like in medical shows, you have no reason to believe they're saying anything legitimate. It's just the suspension of disbelief. Now,
House is the prime offender of that.
And we just assume that, House is totally in phase the New England Journal of Medicine and would never be technobabble for Star Trek. But you don't know. I mean, there are things, in like Jose Chung's from Outer Space, and like a lot of the comedy episodes of Star Trek that are like, fake trivia quotes that, some people might just take at face value. like the like Laserdisc and things were like punchlines back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So you don't know.
Yeah, CSI is a big offender of that stuff too, with made up science basically, or phony science, and very inspired by the X-Files. I think with the photography, it looks like a Howard Gordon supervised show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the worship of the altar there. And like you said, the style changed once they moved to LA in the last two seasons. But well, the last two seasons of the before Duchovny left, it began to look like the way CSI looks now. It looked like before then. It looked like everything made in Canada. That dreary Canada look.
Yes, like Forever Night.
Yes.
All those Stephen Cannell shows like Wise Guy and Booker and 21 Jump Street they use a lot of Canadian actors too, like the guy playing the killer in this episode. He's a Canadian actor. That's why Snyder used him in Watchmen. But X-Files always had a high amount of Canadian talent.
Exclusively Canadian until '98. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd see like a young Jill State. You'd see
yeah, I think it kept the Canadian film industry busy.
But every Canadian, yes, it was purely Canadian until they moved. It was a big cultural fixation, also the fact that the X-Files was filmed in Canada until when it wasn't. The fact that it moved to America was like a big deal, a cause of much media gossip and stuff. The Simpsons even talked about it. The Simpsons and the X-Files were basically the co-poles of the Fox TV media empire.
Yeah. When I think of Fox, I think of those shows, both of them. I don't think of Married with Children, which is the oldest Fox show that lasted the longest, but I never think of those original shows. Like, I don't think of Beans Baxter. I think of the X-Files or Simpsons.
Yeah, when I went to the Fox lot, well after X-Files' domination, I was walking down the street, and I see the parking lot sitting there, and it's the parking spot for James Wong. And it was because he was working on American Horror Story, I think. But I was going, well, he still got the parking space.
Well, when was this, before or after 2013?
This was 2018, so
okay.
Yeah,
5 years.
Or was it 2018 or 2019?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
after the slow cooking vehicular manslaughter of Paul Walker. James Wong. Just want to, restate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the this episode, I think I remember liking it a lot when I saw it first run. But then at the time, Entertainment Weekly was real big on these review guides to the show so far, if it was the big show on TV. So it was like Cinema Fantastique. They had every episode reviewed and rated. And they actually rated this one really low. So which was kind of strange. I think they just had a bias against the Monster of the Week stuff. Or Villain of the Week type stuff. Because they all wanted their long form UFO mythology, bees and Blackpool stuff, and Mulder's sister and all that going on.
Mulder's sister. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She can still turn up. I mean, she could. You can still find the real Samantha Mulder.
Yeah, I remember the story would change throughout the show. Like in the first episode, he's like, my sister, she just disappeared, no note, nothing. And then like later on, he's in the room with her as the lights come in, and she vanishes, and all kinds of the story is constantly changing. And then my dad is the smoking man, or is he?
Because they were teasing the internet bulletin board people.
Oh,
They were
man.
teasing the people on Usenet. That's all they were doing.
Well, I mean, the internet and fan culture really kind of grew up around discussing the X Files and Star Trek, Star Wars, and Buffy.
Yeah.
I mean, they made more Star Wars movies to catch up essentially with the internet, because there was discussion of a dead Star Wars trilogy. I guess they wanted to participate in the active online fan culture, ergo prequels and sequels. But yeah, I mean, ain't it cool news
Yeah.
came from exactly that.
Yeah.
I mean, having spoilers about X Files was a currency in '99 and
That's
2000.
true. That's very true.
And the whole 2 year phantom period where they had where it was Annabeth Gish and Robert Patrick. They, even though like the ratings were down, there was this whole soap opera. When will they bring back Mulder thing in the fandom? Not just the X-Files fandom, but like the broader sci-fi fandom that continued to circulate and kept the brand alive at a low roar. And I have no idea what the finale's numbers were ratings wise. I wasn't cognizant of TV ratings really in 2002, 2003, but it felt like a much more serious version of the Seinfeld finale.
I remember it was kind of an event because I had friends at school who, still followed X Files, and they. I remember I remember watching the finale because I wasn't particularly into it at the time, but when the finale happened, my friend was like, when we go home, we're watching, when you're coming over to my house, we're gonna watch the X Files finale tonight. Like, this is non-negotiable.
I mean, event.
Yeah, and so we watched it, and but so I think it must have been kind of a big deal because I remember there was buzz about it, like, oh, X Files, this is it, even though most people were pretty unhappy with the show by that point.
Yeah, I mean, it was over. People wanted it to end,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of absurd now I think about it.
And I just remember watching those last two seasons, and like you said, when's Mulder coming back? Duchovny would be gone, and then he would return for a couple episodes, and then he'd be gone, and then they would kind of they kept teasing it, but it must have sucked to, like, for the, they were wanting to move on with John Doggett, but it's kind of hard to move on with these new characters, with these new dynamics when, Mulder keeps popping up like a whack-a-mole. Even though Duchovny didn't want to be there, he was wanting to get his big movie career going.
And he looked like he didn't want to be there in those episodes. He looked like he always looked uncomfortable. He wasn't back in Mulder mode.
Yeah, it's strange how that the whole last 4 years unfolded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really strange few years of television. When when Mulder leaves onward, it's a very bizarre few seasons. Kind of an interesting few seasons.
Also, the interview, like when Duchovny or Gillian Anderson were interviewed, they always seemed unhappy. Like they seemed miserable that they were on the show.
Yeah,
like they weren't like happy to be there or anything. It's like it's almost like they were tired of the success or something like that. Like they just they left Canada. One reason was Duchovny was on Conan O'Brien and he said, yeah, Vancouver is a great city to work in if you like 4 hours of rain every day. And apparently it was a big campaign to kick the X-Files out of Vancouver, even though they made so much money out of it. But it made him unpopular, and I think
they came to America because of David Duchovny.
Yeah, and it was and I think it was kind of a victim of its own success. And obviously story-wise and with the scripts and everything, it was probably supposed to end after 6 seasons, but because it got stretched on and Fox wouldn't let Chris Carter in the show. I think they were lining up a Brinks truck to keep him going. And because they didn't want to lose that show.
the overarching plot just got so ridiculous, where if you try to explain the lore episode plot arc, I don't think you can do it
You
because
can't.
it's so convoluted, and it's not always that way, but you could tell the show reached a certain point where they like kill off all the Illuminati characters and
Yeah.
they're like, we're just kind of done with these guys. And but nope, it's got to keep going. It's got to keep going. Here's now Scully has an alien baby.
Again. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, the last 4 years was weird because, David Duchovny, browbeat them into moving to LA and having all these LA people, and then he quit the show. But he never really left the show. He like cast this ghostly shadow over it.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
never allowed it to become. I think Chris Carter had like designs of like Robert Patrick becoming the lead for like 10 years.
yeah.
Like.
Oh, I think he did. I think that was the goal.
But that was never going to happen ever because there was a ship at stake also, and people wanted Mulder and Scully together where they could see them
And
forever and ever.
And I think the kind of dudes that watched X-Files back then, I think a Mulder is kind of a geek like they are. He loves conspiracies. He's kind of a dreamer.
Yeah.
And then you got John Doggett, who's like, man, I'm a cop from the streets. What are you talking about, man? This alien stuff is crazy, man. Like, I don't know that. I can't shoot that, man. I'm just
he's a little too alpha male, military tough guy.
Yeah,
for the X-Files audience.
So
it's weird that Doggett didn't come back in the new. Anyway, you were saying yes, sir.
But yeah, I just don't think fans were going to accept a guy like John Doggett. Even though there's been I've seen a lot of articles in recent years talking about how John Doggett never got a fair shake and he was a good character and blah blah blah. But they didn't. But you were right. They didn't bring him back for the new series, which I thought was weird. Because they brought Reyes back, but they didn't bring.
They painted her with the brush of hatred that you, I guess, like, we're gonna give to the new leads because God damn it, we're gonna give them an unfair shake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they kind of introduce Reyes and kill her off in the new season.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, yeah, I've been hoping that the smoking man ever since. Okay. But the reason why John Doggett was never given a fair shake by the fans is because he was never given a fair shake by the show. He was always given the presentation of it as a placeholder substitute lead for when Mulder comes back, and he will. He will. Because that itself is a mystery. Because first there was the mystery of saving Mulder from the aliens, then bringing him back to life after he was shrunken and dead. Then there was, and then it ends in the trial of Fox Mulder versus the new Illuminati, and the first killing of the smoking man. No, the first final killing of the smoking man.
Oh man, I need to go back and watch the series finale again.
Everything in it gets undone, but I love the final 2 minutes because of how romantic it is.
Well, and you said something about Jack Bauer killed X-Files. And a lot of people I've heard say, X-Files was kind of a pre 9/11 product, and like post 9/11, which, by the way, as I've mentioned before, the lone gunman predicted 9/11 like with eerie like accuracy. But the show didn't last too long after that, and I think a lot of people, I think I think there is something to that the sort of role government plays, that sort of conspiracy culture changed after that. You know, the
Art Bell kept leaving coast to coast. He would
Mhm.
only come back infrequently. But I remember that.
He was the
Yeah.
Fox Mulder of radio.
Yeah, pretty much.
It changed people. It turned Jesse Ventura into a very different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Fox Mulder hero is no longer in vogue by the time of the trial of Fox Mulder was a very correct thing in many ways
Mm-hmm.
because he had been accidentally made irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but also the thing about Duchovny versus Robert Patrick is the way they had Mulder portrayed. Yeah, he's basically the nerd sci-fi fans' ideal hero because he's this super handsome dude, never gets laid. He's addicted to porn. You know,
Yeah.
several episodes that Darren Morgan wrote
Yes.
kind of address the porn
In
addiction.
in Pusher, he's like, "Hey, you get the Playboy channel with this thing."
Yeah, yeah, it's like this. He's he's like this kind of desperate incel, even though he looks like a god. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
There's lots of high key chud incel lust in that. Like
Yeah.
the Peter Boyle psychic one, he's like, there isn't a chance that I could, do it to you. Is it possible? And she's like, no. So there's lots of like beta male lust.
yeah, it's like Mulder like simps around
So,
Scully. You know,
yeah.
Well, and
completely. It's
and one thing I love too is like whenever Duchovny directs, Scully like is really flirtatious with him. Like that like he did that baseball one, that like Field of Dreams episode where he
yeah,
like
the
plays
Boomer baseball worship episode.
Yeah,
That's
and, like-
always
so great.
mandatory.
Yeah, and Scully's like in one scene with him and she's like, "Oh, Mulder," and she like gets in his lap and they're like laughing. You know? And I was going, "Oh yeah, Duchovny's directing now." You know, Mulder's more of a chick magnet when Duchovny directs.
Yeah, clearly not written by Darren Morgan.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that the talent is wildly inconsistent. Modern audiences never go for that because they need strict, consistent bug feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like one. They kind of like that one writer writing the entire show, like the Taylor
Oh, yeah.
Sheridan, or whoever else, like
Voice.
David Chase or whatever. It's that one voice for the characters the entire run. They can't deal with the,
Yeah, I mean the characters on X-Files are wildly inconsistent. Not
Well,
just the way things they say. I mean, like in the two Darren, one of the first Darren McGavin X-Files episode, they have a flashback where like Mulder is shown smoking because they did it like just to fuck with the online fandom,
yeah,
to like be like, why would he do that? It's like, and I don't know if that was before or after they started revealing that the smoking man was Mulder's father. I'm not sure they're related even stylistically or subliminally.
you think
But-
they went back and forth on it like a wrestling promotion? Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm sure
Babyface
they're
heel,
going
we
back
don't
on
know.
it now. I'm sure they're thinking about retconning it now.
Yeah,
Like, when they make more, and they will. The only way you can reveal the truth after you've revealed the truth is to reveal the last truth is not the full truth, which is, each successive X-Files season, starting I think with 5, they started to do. Like I can't remember what it was, but the several, I think it's season 5. It's the several episode arc where Scully gets cancer that can only be cured with the alien isotope.
mhm.
And the smoking man admits at some point that several elements of the alien conspiracy are a hoax.
Yeah.
But only to prepare people better for the alien conspiracy, which is real or something. And that is the first time the smoking man is killed off, as he's killed off at the end of that episode arc where Scully's cancer is cured by the alien isotope. But that is the first evidence of the truth being revealed in the show, and then subsequent anthology episodes don't just retcon it; they erase it as if it never happened, and that was another deeper level. But that's how they got past having things like the Illuminati and went straight to we'll discuss what they ended up with later. Anyway.
Well, and one thing you were saying about the variety of voices in the writers, people want their TV shows to be like movies, where you get the individually packaged episodes, but it's a longer form. But one reason X-Files is one of my favorite shows is that there is so much variety. Like, you have the comedy episodes, you have the horror episodes, you've got action, cyberpunk, like sci-fi. There's all kinds of stuff in this show. Like, it's got a lot going on, and there's something to be. I think that's kind of something that's missing from modern day television is when shows have different writers trying out different things, like Star Trek.
Yeah, different ideas. Well, it's like the way I watch the show is random. Like, you guys suggest an episode to cover for the show, or I just decide, oh, I've never seen this one, or I don't remember this one, and just pick one out. That's what I like about it. Those are my favorite kind of shows. I hate the idea of having to start over, watch everything from continuity, beginning to end. It's exhausting. I don't have time for that in my life these days. Got a wife, got a kid, got a dog, got a cats, got a household to run, the job. It's like I don't have time to binge like 20 hours of one show. So Mulder and Scully investigate a lake monster. Okay, I'll watch that. It's just easy as that. It's very convenient to have that type of show that you can just pluck out and watch.
And it seemed like there was a period where the show was doing like, oh, let's get like William Gibson to write an episode. Let's get Stephen King. Like, they were getting like random authors to like come.
Yeah, they heavily rewrote the Stephen King episode. Heavily.
Well,
like it didn't even resemble what he wrote.
Stephen King's teleplays can be they can be something. I don't know.
Is that the haunted doll episode or
it's the doll episode, I think. It's like a crying doll. It was almost like it was spoofing Stephen King type of horror.
Yeah, because it takes place in Maine, and it was kind of silly.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was kind of a goofy episode.
That was at the height of their popularity because they were still in Canada then. And
yeah, the William Gibson episode was closer to a regular X-Files, because I think he wrote it with he co-wrote it with the editor of Wired magazine, or one of those type of guys.
You're talking about we're talking about the Invisigoth episode, right?
I'm thinking of the one with the virtual reality game.
Okay, because he wrote Invisigoth, and then he wrote First Person Shooter, which is
First Person Shooter is one I'm thinking of.
That's the Mortal Kombat episode.
That's got wild. The girl that was George Clooney's beard for a couple of years, and then she was David Spade's beard.
Yes.
Krista Allen, I think was her name. She played Emmanuelle in some crappy TV show they made for,
of course,
European television in the early 90s or something. But yeah, she was the Clooney beard, then she was the David Spade beard or something like that.
Yeah, that's a wild one. But what did you think of Pusher revisiting it, John?
I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it more now than when I saw it, in the 90s. It's just fun to go back and watch something like this that's just this entertaining. It's like when I watch an Avengers episode with Diana Rigg or Honor Blackman or whatever. And Zolly, I just watch something and I appreciate it more. I don't know what they changed about the special effects, but now Zolly has me intrigued by saying that they tweaked the effects for the HD transfers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not meaningfully, but I can't guarantee that everything is exactly the same as it was.
Right, because they may have cleaned stuff up. Because I remember there was like digital blurring and the early CGI effects they were doing and stuff. So I'm sure they probably cleaned that stuff up.
Well,
I think a lot of it they just left raw and
Yeah.
lazy, which is fine, I suppose.
and I remember I was watching some of the episodes from season 1 and thinking the effects looked a little good for when that was airing. So you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
Because I've been going back
Season
and
one has lots of repetitive stuff.
yeah, season 1 is it's got some really good ones in there, but it's a lot of Mulder and Scully running around in fields, like looking for experimental aircraft. And but then season 2 kind of felt like it was in the woods, and I don't think the show really hits its stride till season 3.
Yeah.
I think that's when it really gets good.
Well, I mean, either season 3 or the first Dan Morgan episode in season 2.
Yeah.
Because after the show really turns in season 2 after the Steve Railsback 2-parter where he kidnaps Scully.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Season 2 is where they basically impart most of the alien mythology.
Yeah, it also has probably the favorite monster episode with like the Gill Man, Sucker Man creature that you see associated with the whole show.
That's the first blatant iconic monster they had on the show, I think.
Yeah, and it's so not a big deal in the show though. It's like,
and and actually it's referenced in this episode for sure. You see him on like a Weekly World News.
Oh yeah. This is a Weekly World News. And, yeah, that monster was played by Darren Morgan.
Yeah.
In the original episode, wearing the monster suit. Yeah.
Darren Morgan is invaluable.
He is the X-Files.
It's an iconic monster, but so fleeting, so minimally used.
Yeah,
but it used to promote so much stuff because it makes scary look scarier, which is what they tried to do. They tried to bit. They were competing with other like syndicated shows like Outer Limits. So they probably had to push the horror elements a little harder in advertising at the time.
Yeah, I remember
there was a Stargate TV show that was big too. I remember,
and I remember that this show being promoted more as a horror show at certain points.
Oh yeah,
I don't really, I actually thought X-Files was a horror series for a long time. I didn't really watch it much when it was on, but I just remember thinking of it as, oh, that's a horror series.
Yeah, it was considered a Kolchak tribute or Night Stalker tribute. So
yeah, another David Chase thing.
Yeah.
David Chase.
Well, it's also, you talk about Tone Hunter, and it's funny because I just watched the first season of Millennium for the first time.
I've never seen it. Is it worth watching?
Because I'd only seen that show sporadically. What's that?
Is it worth watching? I've never seen it.
Okay, the first season is so dark and so dark, so violent for the time, and so depressing that it's a tough watch because it's that one consistent dark tone. It's not funny. It doesn't go for quirky character stuff. 2 episodes are genuinely disturbing, like even by today's standards, with all the cringe horror we've had. There's one about a guy that's strangling horses. He's killing horses, and it's kind of a warm up for killing women. It's the best episode of that entire season. It's the only one I actually recommend going and watching. And it was creepy. Like, that was a creepy episode. But I understand they brought in Darren Morgan for the second season to give the show a different tone, because it was considered too dark and too much of a downer to be much of a ratings hit. So apparently there's a lot of satiric episodes in the second season, and it needs it because it's like watching you know, like a Chris Nolan movie where it's just he's hitting you with just
Yeah.
constant goth or something. It's too much.
Mhm.
It's too much for the viewer. But I do look forward to tackling the second season. I guess the third season's pretty crazy and off the charts too.
Yeah, and because I just remember they kind of used X-Files to sort of wrap that show up, like they had an episode.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did, and it disappointed everybody.
Yeah.
Totally disappointed people. And I remember watching that and being baffled because I didn't keep up with Millennium, so I didn't know what
Yeah.
they were really wrapping up. I didn't understand.
That's how I found out about it. Was I watched that episode and I went, "Oh, that's a thing." Okay, because it just seemed so out of left field.
The show on Fridays you never watched.
Well, I mean, there was people. I don't mean to be cheeky. You don't forget that at the time there was a like a broader TV interconnected fictional universe involving Richard Belzer
Yeah,
as
right.
Munch from Homicide. And you know, this is before, you know, long before Law and Order SVU, and Munch was, you know, in the X-Files in '96. Why am I mentioning that? Because I mean, I never watched Millennium when it was on either. But I mean, the fact that Millennium was, you know, related peripherally to the X-Files, it didn't really faze me because so was, I guess, you know, everything else.
Yeah.
You know why? And you know, on when you'd watch, you know, actual advertisements and the shit was on, you know, sometimes they'd have, you know, the characters plugging, you, you know, the local sitcom that was going to be on at 9:30. So it's not entirely easy to discern what and was not, you know, in the reality of the show. So Millennium was, you know, the Star Trek Deep Space Nine of the X-Files, in the sense that it was unappreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to. We have to go check out that horse strangling episode. Like that just sounds so weird.
It's crazy. That's the only one of that season, of the first season, I think. Okay, that's outstanding. If you watch one, just watch that one because it's genuinely creepy.
And then after Millennium, there's the Lone Gunman, but only
I didn't watch. I feel bad now.
I only watched the first. Actually, I think I watched the first few episodes of the Lone Gunman. Enough to see them at 9/11.
The first episode is really different from the rest. The first episode's the one that's like eerily 9/11, like, wow, like a few months before you guys figured it out. But the rest of the series is much more comedic. In fact, you know, they introduce a character named Jimmy Bond, who's like kind of this dumb guy who wants to help them out. But it's way more of a comedy series. Like it doesn't try to go for the X-Files tone. Like the Lone Gunmen it's like Scooby and the gang solving mysteries. It's
hard to see. I never see it available anywhere.
Yeah, I got the DVD set, which was pretty cheap. But again, wrapping up shows, using X-Files to wrap up shows. They brought back Jimmy for the last episode with the Lone Gunman in the last season. Probably one of my least favorite episodes of X-Files because the Lone Gunman is a comedy show, and then they do a comedy episode of the X-Files with the Lone Gunman that's full of wacky hijinks and Jimmy Bond's in it. And then they all get killed at the end. And the whole time you're like, okay, so when are they going to pop up and go like, hey guys, just kidding.
Yeah.
What?
Never retconned it either.
They're dead. Oh no. Like they just killed them off. Like it was so misjudged. It was so just the wrong tone. I don't know what they were thinking. And all the people who were involved with it went, yeah, we misjudged that one.
Yeah, I mean, by the time that they made, I think it was called Jump the Shark. They had already not. I don't think the show was never. And well, if they want to say there's a time when the X Files jumped the shark, it is when they moved to America, because that's when the tone shifted. But I don't think jumping the shark is a problem ever. Sometimes you have to jump the shark to find your footing.
Yeah.
But by that time, the X Files was so conceptually distorted that it really didn't matter. I don't know the old the I don't know, I'm babbling. Things like the Cops episode,
Oh yeah.
or Great in Its Day, are just too much now. And now, mind you, having one or two Dan Morgan or comedy episodes a season isn't too objectionable, but towards the end there was delirium.
Yeah, no, I noticed in certain seasons, I can't remember which ones, but I did notice that there were too many of those types of episodes. Which I normally enjoy those episodes, but a little bit goes a long way with those. But they
were pushing them.
But yeah, if you want to be disappointed, watch The Lone Gunman, then watch Jump the Shark. That episode. Oh boy. But they found a way to bring the Lone Gunman back a little bit in the when they brought X-Files back.
But they were still dead though.
Yeah.
They never got better.
You saw some of them in cyberspace, and then when Mulder trips mushrooms while he's listening to Honky Tonk Badonkadonk by Trace Adkins, and he's tripping mushrooms in the Honky Tonk Club, and he's hanging out with the Lone Gunman and Skinner. Or no, was Skinner there? I can't remember if Skinner was there, but the Lone Gunmen are all there.
Skinner was there.
Yeah.
It was all hallucination.
Yeah. It was amazing. It's good.
I don't think I've seen it. I'm not sure if I've seen all the new X-Files, because it seems like
you have to watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to sit down and finally, and I may actually have to binge the last couple of new seasons, or whatever you call them.
They're both short.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. No. It's very British in that way.
Yeah, they're like mini series. It was 5 or 6 episodes. I think I watched the first slew of them. I didn't watch the follow up, or vice versa. I can't remember.
Yeah, the follow up. I think I remember liking the second series more.
Right. Yeah.
What?
The second follow-up series is way better.
Yeah, I thought
because I watched the first one had the Alex Jones stand-in. That, can we say his name without getting pulled off YouTube? I don't know, but it had it had the actor doing the Alex Jones type of character.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I think the problem with the first revival is people expected a constant mythology arc, because the first episode is so urgent that it seemed that they'd have to get to the bottom of the Joel McHale UFO Russia conspiracy. But then they go straight to Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
Which really threw people for a loop, because anthology television had died about a decade before that. So people had no idea how to process this shift from, oh no, we have to get ahead of the conspiracy, which is much worse now in the present day than, bam, oh, we have to investigate ghosts.
Yeah, and there's the cyberspace, the episode where one of the Lone Gunmen's consciousness is uploaded in the computer, and because they do that, and then they have the one-off episodes, and I think that did really throw audiences, because I remember people being confused online when they tuned in next week, and they're off on some other mystery with Scully and Mulder's kid being there was this one episode where that was a real downer with about their maybe not, kid. I just, but I think that's, it was sort of it felt like an anomaly at that time.
Yeah, and everyone knew there's going to be there were so few episodes to handle so much mystery, so many questions.
Yeah. So many questions that need to be answered.
And it was advertised with spaceships and explosions and people running, and the alien virus getting worse, end of the world, and the specter of I forget from 6 Feet Under what that woman's name is.
Oh,
The redheaded lady from Can't Hardly Wait.
what's her name?
But they were gonna replace Scully with her and Agent Mulder with Robbie Amell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna alien virus is gonna get them, and we're gonna replace them for real this time. I want to say her name is like Paula Poundstone or something, but I know it's not. I know it's not.
What was the there was that one episode that was the Mandala effect episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Where
probably the only honest television about the current state of American politics, but 5 years ago. It was refreshing.
Yeah. Oh, that's one to go look at.
But I don't think people appreciate it because it was too frivolous.
Yes.
Such a dark thing.
Yeah. You can't have an episode where that makes fun of the Berenstain Bears freak out on the internet.
It's a very real threat.
Yeah.
Still, the time ripples that are still going on because of it.
It's true.
Even to this day.
Well, guys, so Zolly, what did you think of the Pusher episode?
Well, I'm always a good fan of it. I mean, the idea of the phrase "I'm a Budo warrior" is one of the many pseudo Zen phrases that has stuck with me in my life. Because there are only so many of them. The sequel episode kind of neuters Pusher a little bit, and I can't really separate them.
Yeah,
they go together. I think Pusher is very influential because you see when you see psychic attacks depicted in other medium. You see it very similar to the opening of the episode. But I mean, the opening of the episode is evocative in many ways of Scanners also.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He kind of does give you Michael Ironside vibes a little bit. The Modell character played by Robert Wisden. Like, convincing the guy to set himself on fire and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's certainly one of the ones that stuck with me when I initially watched all of the episodes of X-Files. Thought that one particularly was it kind of stood out as having a particularly memorable villain who was scary, who seemed like a real threat to Mulder and Scully. That he could really do some damage with his ability to just convince people to do whatever. But and what was it? He talks that fat cop into having a heart attack.
Yeah,
on the phone.
Weird scene.
You got all that fat and grease in your arteries.
Yes.
You could feel him hardening up, and he's like, ah! And then he's like,
put the phone down.
Gotta get the trace. And then it turns out he's like, what's the phone number where you're at? Oh, I'll give it to you. It's here it is. It's fine. It's a payphone. No big deal.
Yeah, it was just they give you a villain that Mulder has to outsmart.
Yeah.
And it ends up being Scully who outsmarts him.
Yeah.
But but Mulder wants to match wits with him, but gets his butt saved by Scully, basically.
Yeah, they have
Which was
they have the Deer Hunter showdown at the end, the Chris Walken, Robert De
Yeah.
Niro showdown. But yeah. Anyway, we're gonna run out of time on this meeting, so why don't we go ahead and rate this episode? Zolly, what would you give it out of 10?
Oh, 7 out of 10. Oh yes.
7.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Good, solid rating. John, what about you?
second time watching it, I give it a 7. It's fun. It's a good standard solid X-Files episode to watch when you're on the road and you just want to get your mind off of things for like 50 minutes, and there you go. Watch Pusher.
Yeah, I think this one, if you had asked me a few days ago what I would rate it, I would have said like a 9. I would have been like, oh, it's one of the best episodes of X-Files. One of the best. Watching it again, I'm like, it's really good. I don't know if it's top 10, but it's really good. So I might give it a 7 or an 8. But it went a little bit down in my estimation, but I still think it's one of the more solid like episodes that I would recommend to somebody getting into X-Files. I think it's a good one to watch.
It's a good intro one. It's
Yeah.
good, just standalone entry to Gateway X-Files, basically.
You don't need any of the lore. You don't need any background, really. You can just kind of
No
jump
cigarette smoking man. You
2
know,
months for the week.
in. Yeah. I just, I think like a lot of the Vince Gilligan episodes that are one-offs are really solid like that. I think he wrote a lot of good ones. But yeah, do you have anything to plug, Zolly, before we go?
Oh, I've got no projects at this time. I've been doing nothing. but
Just
making
restoring.
money. Well, yeah, just me and my bots, obviously.
Yeah, bot farms.
My bots, they canceled backup. That hurt me the most,
Yeah.
It hurts me more than it hurts them. But strong medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I feel like Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Like it's a good for you. It's a good for your soul.
John, you got anything right now?
No, nothing right now. I'll be recording a guest appearance on another podcast later this week. Might be out by the time well, it probably won't be out for a few weeks. May not even be out till October. I don't know yet. But it's going to be on the Then Is Now podcast. I think it's on that one. That guy runs Roger. He runs several different shows, and who knows what I'm going to end up on. But I'll know more by the time it's recorded and done and produced and released and everything. But I just want to note, on speaking of Batgirl, remember Chris Carter directed a movie that was shelved and has never been seen I think it's called Fence Walker.
Oh,
and
interesting.
It was like his big Valentine to the Obama administration. It was like a high school movie. You can look it up.
Oh,
Seriously.
wow. Yeah.
This thing was filmed and never released.
I think I remember. I didn't know he did that. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I think it was called Fence Walker. I think it's the title.
But yeah, I saw people acting like this has never happened before. I was like, this has happened plenty of times.
Yeah, it's happened a lot. It's like, but yeah, there's a Chris Carter unreleased movie.
I bet more movies get shelved than get released.
What?
I think more movies get shelved than get released.
I think they do.
Oh yeah, you just don't hear about it. Like people invest their whole lives, their whole shit, to make some movie about some tap dancing guy who goes to the gas chamber, and then then it's all over and it's gone.
Yeah.
That
it's a lot more than Day the Clown Cried. A whole lot more.
Oh yeah, no, that's just the one that's made the round at the parties. But
they don't talk about Fence Walker or whatever the hell it's called.
No.
A million things.
But anyway, so before we go, check out our Ko-Fi donations. leave us a little tip just to help us cover our expenses. You know, my I think the gravy train for my Zoom account has ended, so I may have to do something about that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Zolly. It's always great to have you on. You're always the best
Thank you.
insights and always the
I'm
hottest,
so
freshest takes.
humble. Humble gratitude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, all right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and say adios.
All right, peace out.
And now, it's time for Rue Britannia with your foreign correspondent, the Nez.
In a move that will surprise nobody other than those woke GTs who long for the return of Joe Biden's memory, stand-up comedian and transvestite Eddie Izzard, inspired by the war in Ukraine, and specifically the heroic pose of President Zelensky, has decided to formally involve himself in frontline politics and has announced his intention to stand as a prospective parliamentary candidate. The rainbow teapot waver, complete with Max Fact the Black Egyptian and rouge fingernails, openly conceded his chances of winning the candidacy for the safe Labour seat of Sheffield Central were nominal at best, but that he, she, or whatever, was prepared to give us some top-quality pluck. I know it's a tough constituency to win over, said Edwina, but I intend to win over a tough working-class northern seat with my array of pearl necklaces, diamante earrings, and Gucci high heels. He, she, whatever boasted. Sheffield Central has a safe Labour majority of 27,000 from the last general election in 2019. It was up until 30 years ago heavily involved in coal mining. Either way, I'm sure that Eddie, or rather he, she, whatever, knows exactly what he, she, or whatever is doing. Media, and English TV's favourite TV copper actor Stephen Tompkinson goes on trial this week accused of assaulting a member of the public in a late-night bust about Celiba's house in Whitley Bay. This back in May last year. Well, anyway, that's his career down the tubes then. The flat-footed geared actor faces a minimum custodial sentence of 5 years if convicted. Tompkinson, lead actor in long-running ITV crime drama series DCI Banks, Monday nights 9 p.m, ITV, also, fun enough, actually played a copper in Minder. Well, I say Minder, not the classic years of the Dennis Waterman George Curl axis, but the piss-poor Gary Webster years, which I really just don't want to talk about. Personally, I can't really be sure if the general prison population can really tell the difference between a fictional TV detective and the real thing. Either way, I suspect any general prison population, not least in terms of D-Wing, may not necessarily be so forgiving after all either way. Lemmings and the EcoLean campaign group Just Stop Oil went too far this week, yet again, when a member decided to occupy a makeshift tunnel connecting oil refineries in Essex. One problem now, the activist has asthma and is now complaining of a lack of oxygen in the tunnels, which is nice. Hopefully, if anything, the other 50 activists who joined it presumably will also accidentally forget their rainbow-coloured inhalers in the same way. It's always reassuring to know that the ecological rainbow warriors are always prepared to suffocate themselves to death for their children's futures. I myself would send cartons of Marlboro just to basically really increase ventilation. I mean, that said, when I say cartons of Marlboro, I don't mean the red and white cartons of Marlboro, I mean the black, gay, disabled, rainbow-coloured cartons of Marlboro. I like to think that makes a difference. Finally, further notes in passing, actor Tom Hardy wins 2 medals at the Jiu-Jitsu competition in Wolverhampton this week, thereby immediately having the door closed on him playing James Bond in the future. What the Broccoli's would actually want with an actor who can physically handle himself is just debatable. Meanwhile, Manchester United fans go on the rampage outside of Old Trafford ahead of their game against Liverpool. Why people keep bombing the city of Manchester, on the other hand, is really just a mystery. And doctors under new government proposals could have the remit to reduce the energy bills of patients. Under the can't, doctors could decide that patients living in conditions of poverty suffering maladies which may be related may be entitled to at least a 10% discount off their annual gas bills next year. That's fantastic because given my annual gas bill last year, I'm off now to catch AIDS. Pax.